Hello and welcome to the IFSC-Africa 2020 Championship Women's Finals happening today here at City Rock, Cape Town. We are just having a moment while we wait for everybody to get their act together. In a brief moment we're having the athletes come out in front of the wall. You can see the speed wall and the timers in front of you. I'm joined in the commentary box today by James Barnes, one of the athletes competing tomorrow and coach to some of the girls that are competing today. James, welcome to the commentary box.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. Fantastic venue, and really looking forward to see what the ladies have to bring today.
So James, today is the finals. Some of your girls have been training really hard for this. How do you think they're feeling just ahead of the competition getting started?
Well, as an athlete myself, I know that being in isolation with everybody is always quite fun, but it all comes down to a personal game. And everybody's got their own strengths and weaknesses, and being a coach, you got to actually know that. And it's quite important to pick up on these certain things, but it's really nice to see how all of them have pulled their strengths together and have shown like very good dedication with their training. And I'm really looking forward to see how they can bring it all together today. Back where we stay in KwaZulu-Natal, there is no speed wall, so we have to work with different means of training. Southern Rocks Climbing Centre has the only tread wall in the country, and we use that to kind of like try run as fast as we can on it. And yeah, one of my girls, Caitlin Burtwood, very excited to see how she does today.
Now we can see the athletes coming out. This is Danielle Fisser. Just behind her, Credo Casimiri from Uganda. Coming out now, Tegan Oates from Johannesburg. She's the youngest competitor we have here today, and I've been told also the tallest. Georgie Dorwood has just returned from spending some time in the States doing some climbing. And Catherine Honegger, Cape Town local, born and raised in Johannesburg in Gauteng. And Erin Sturkenberg, probably the strongest competitor we've seen here today. And if things go according to plan for her, she'll be taking home the gold in that Olympic position. Those of you tuning in, I'm sure, are aware that this is the IFSC African Championships held in Cape Town, sponsored by the Western Cape Government and the City of Cape Town. And the athletes here today are hoping to win a spot in next year's Olympic Games, Tokyo 2020, happening in 2021 due to the coronavirus.
It's quite interesting with competition climbing. You could be in your best shape of your life, and you could just have a bad day. So it's anybody's game at the moment, and it's quite interesting. It's like you could have one step on the speed wall, perfect example myself, and you just have to try and fix your head and try and get into the best mindset to better the rest of your disciplines. So it's going to be an interesting day, and I'm really curious to see how the girls do.
Yeah, James, you know, as an athlete, this is quite an intense physical competition. The climbing we saw yesterday and the day before took place over a bit of a longer period. How do you think having everything bunched up into a shorter time frame will affect the athletes? Do you think they'll be able to recover as efficiently between events?
Personally, I think the long rest in between actually hinders your performance, because you have to warm up again and again and again, and it just makes the day feel a lot longer, where I think the shorter periods would actually be a lot better, because you quickly move on into the next discipline and you don't have to warm up so long and so drastic. Your fueling for food will obviously be a little bit less. You wouldn't go into bigger meals and that kind of thing, just like quick bursts of energy and like nice carbohydrates and that kind of thing. So personally, I think the shorter rest would be better.
That's an interesting opinion. Thanks for that, James. Yeah, we can see the officials just organizing some chairs for the timers and the officials, the judges, just to make sure that everything is happening as and when it should. So for those of you friends and family at home, those of you overseas that are interested to see who is filling that Africa spot in the Olympic Games, this is a combined competition. 3 disciplines. The first one is in front of you, speed, the big grey wall with City Rock on it, 2 lanes, orange holds, green holds, and athletes will be racing against each other to get to the top, trying to get the fastest time possible. This is a knockout round. Knockout is involved, and after this they head on to the boulders, and after that they'll be on the lead. James, could you maybe just give us a little introduction to the combined format, how it works, when IFSC was applying to the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, to have climbing in the Olympics? There was limited spots available, and IFSC had to come up with a new format for climbing, and they came up with a combined format. Could you introduce us to the combined format, and I'll chat about the scoring after that.
Cool. So I think it's an interesting way, because everybody used to specialize in their own disciplines, and I think to kind of get the Olympic idea of being the best climber, they decided that to do all 3 disciplines. Normally speed specialists were always seen as these very big chunky kind of sprinters, and you can definitely see it in the specialized discipline that they are like these very strong and fast individuals, and bouldering would be your more gymnastic and dynamic climbing, very much now with this new style of parkour and very different style of bouldering, instead of it being like pure brute strength and like biting down on like small edges and that kind of thing, and then lead being your more endurance based thing. So adding a combined element to it means that you won't have you'll still have your specialized athletes, but they won't be as specialized. They won't be just speed climbers. There will be speed climbers that are good at bouldering and at sport climbing, and you can definitely see the guys that are better at their individual disciplines. They will definitely shine in those certain aspects. So it's really cool, because personally I saw myself as more of a lead climber, and having to change up my way of climbing to better my speed and my bouldering, it actually did help better my general climbing, because speed climbing is more dynamic, which helped my bouldering, and you're more explosive and that kind of thing, and also having more power endurance and that kind of thing, like a good way of, I don't know, bettering my whole climbing.
Yeah, in a way it's like being a swimmer who decides to take part in triathlons, or a runner who decides to take part in triathlons. You know, you have to expand your comfort zone a little bit, and maybe you won't be as good in the swimming as you try and improve those other areas of performance. But with climbing, I think those, as James was saying, as you expand into speed, you really gain a little bit of dynamic power and you learn how to move really quickly on the wall. You know, really developing those fast muscle fibers that really help you a lot when you're bouldering. And traditionally climbers would train bouldering to improve their lead climbing, train on lead climbing to improve their endurance in the boulders. So it's quite interesting to see how the combined format works and how it's forced climbers to expand their comfort zone and try some different things that they wouldn't traditionally try. And you can see here in South Africa, it was only when the Olympic format was introduced that South Africa embraced speed climbing, and it's really a fun way to climb. Very different obviously to recreational lead or bouldering, but I think there might be a strong future for speed climbing in South Africa. James, what do you think on that? Do you enjoy speed climbing? Would you carry on speed climbing if you didn't have to?
Like, I see it as a fun way, but to be honest, if there was no combined format, I probably would never have stepped on the speed wall. Maybe for fun, just to kind of like see what it's about. I was always interested in how people found it appealing, but it is a very monotonous training pattern. You really have to just it's trial and error, it's repetitive, and you can only get better by just keep trying and trying and trying again. And the cool thing is that once you start to get a little bit better, the only way that you can get better is just to slim down your hip movements and focus on like trying to vary your placements as much as possible. And it's very tedious. Like, you have to change your complete training style when you're not on the wall. You're doing like very explosive work with your legs, like a lot of boxing, a lot of explosive pulls, and a lot of agility and that kind of thing. And it wouldn't be something that I would train ever if I was focusing on bouldering or lead climbing. But at the same time, I'm glad that I do, because it has helped my explosive power, it has helped me with my dynamic movements, and it's also helped with a bit of hand-eye coordination. And I definitely see that being like a pro. But that said, I don't think I would be doing speed again if I had to.
Fair enough. I've heard that sentiment from a few other climbers. But, you know, some countries like Russia have a very strong speed climbing tradition, and maybe South Africa will embrace that. Speed climbing in Russia coming from outdoor speed climbing.
Especially now in 2024 with it being specialized in each discipline. So I think there you'll start to see where this Olympics will see how the combined format of like a good climber would be, but we'll actually see boundaries being really pushed with it being specialized, definitely.
I think one thing that a lot of speed climbers have struggled with when trying to qualify for the Olympics is the fact that they're not so good at lead and bouldering. And someone who's a bouldering specialist, it's not too hard to convert into lead, and likewise for bouldering, for a lead climber going into bouldering. But for, let's call it, lead and boulder style, different movements every time on the wall, different routes every time on the wall, to transition into speed where the route is the same every time and much more physical, you know, much less intuitive climbing movement, but a lot more practiced and rehearsed and really hitting each hold at the right time every time. And I've heard that a lot of speed climbers can run this wall blindfolded.
I can believe that. It's like if you look at somebody like Reza, who is world renowned for his speed climbing, I don't even think he considered trying for the combined format, because I don't know how well he does in bouldering and lead. I actually don't think I've seen him on the starting list for any of those disciplines. I could be wrong. And it's really cool to see someone like Basamawe, who is an incredible speed climber and a very good boulderer, and to see him do so well and actually qualify for the Olympics. Like, I'm really excited to see how the brothers do, and it's going to be a really cool Olympics. I definitely think so. Yeah.
I think so too, and I think in Paris in 2024 we'll really see, you know, what peak performance looks like in each of these disciplines. We have speed at the moment suffers a little bit. They're only good at 1/3 of the competition, while a lead and boulder climber is good at 2/3 of the competition. So let's see, in the future, climbing could look a little different. But for now, We're in the combined format. The scoring works as follows. Your ranking in each of the 3 disciplines, lead, speed and boulder, is multiplied together to give you a point value. The lower your point value is, the better you're doing. So if you come first in speed, second in boulder, and first in lead, you have 1 times 2 times 1 points. 2 points. Not very high, but if you come 10th and 10th, then you have 1,000 points. And if you come first, you only have 1 point. So there really is a little bit of leeway for an athlete who's not the best at one particular discipline to make up for that by being good at others. How speed works is, as you can see here, we've got two officials. That yellow strap is the automatic belay, the system that keeps the climbers safe. Climbers will be clipped into that while they're running on the speed wall. And on the floor are 2 starting pads. Climbers have to put their weight onto that start pad, and only when the buzzer goes, lift their foot up and start climbing. And over there, the 2 start holds, 2 of those holds facing sideways, pretty much at the height of the 2 timers. You can see the timer for the green lane and the timer for the orange lane, lane A and lane B. And due to COVID-19, we only have officials in the venue, officials and athletes and coaches, some media team, but other than that, this, what would have been a packed venue, is now quite not packed. Very, very different experience to a packed competition venue. James, as a climber, having the crowd in the venue, does that affect you at all, or are you so focused on the climbing, doesn't even matter?
It was a bit interesting yesterday, having just a few of the athletes cheering you on and a few of the officials. Normally we used to like quite a humming sound with music and like a lot more people. It was very interesting to have like a very quiet venue. Personally, I prefer like the crowd and try a little bit more. There's a bit more energy in the venue. And yesterday it was strange. It's not something I'm used to, especially like working in climbing gyms and being a competitor for the last like 15 years. It is quite interesting to have like no crowd. That said, when outdoors, I prefer it being myself in a small crew, but it is what it is, and there's nothing we can do to change it. But here steps in the first 2 ladies. We have Erin Sturkenberg on your left, and we have Credo from Uganda. And yeah, let's see how these ladies do. Remember, it's a knockout event, so if there's any false starts or any slips or falls, that person is out completely, and they'll be put into the small final of the lower half.
So this competition now for speed is different to on Thursday, where athletes were trying to get the best time. Now they're trying to win each race. Erin from South Africa, Credo from Uganda. You can see Erin off on the speed wall. Going nice and slow. Credo does not have a speed training facility at home in Uganda. She only recently, when she came here for this competition, managed to get onto the wall, and unfortunately she just slips off and will not get a time. And that puts Erin in a good position to go through to the next round.
It must be really hard coming from a country that doesn't have any of the training facilities, and they just literally jumped in the deep end and put themselves up. And I think that's very bold of all of the athletes that have come from Uganda.
Yeah, James, I remember when South Africans first went overseas and had their first experience of speed. It was quite an intimidating process, so really big shout out to the guys from Uganda coming out here, hoping to take some of that knowledge and experience back home. On the wall we have Alyssa on the right and Tegan on the left. Tegan from Johannesburg in Gauteng and Alyssa from Cape Town in the Western Cape.
This is actually a race. Let's see how they do. Both of them are not new to the venue and not new to the wall, so this is a proper race. A little bit of a slip there from Melissa. She's starting to catch up. Tegan getting really close, and she's going to take it. Nice one, Tegan.
Tegan doing really well there to keep her composure and make it to the top ahead of Alyssa. We'll have the times for you in a second. Alyssa with just under 20 seconds and Tegan 16.74. Tegan will be really glad to have won that, and that'll put her up against Erin in the next round.
Oh. Next up we have Catherine Honegger versus Caitlin Burwood.
In lane A, we've got Catherine Honegger.
That's Caitlin on the green lane, lane B, and Catherine in lane A.
Oh, it's so unfair being a coach because both of them, I've both coached both of them and can't really choose who you want to win. You're just going to have to support both of them and see how it goes.
Yeah, James, you're in a bit of a tricky situation here. But I suppose if either of them win, you get to pat yourself on the back for that. Catherine's really been doing quite well in the speed. She's been coming down here to City Rock in Cape Town, doing lots of training. You can see that training really paying off. Yeah. James, what do you think having a speed facility close to home, how does that affect training and the ability of these athletes to give a good show on the day?
Well, personally, I think a lot of people take the speed ward for granted. Once people have it, they just like, oh, it's there, and they don't actually use it. But I do think that people who want to do a lot better in it, like for example, us from Durban, we had to always drive or fly to Durban or Cape Town to come and train in the facility, and that's an expensive way to train, you know. You have to pay for flights and for accommodation and then gym fees and all that kind of thing, so it does like pay up. It makes it a lot harder and a lot more pressure on the team, so yeah.
Up next we have Georgie and Danielle. Danielle in lane B. She is from KwaZulu-Natal. She is 17, one of the younger competitors we have in the competition today. She started climbing when she was in grade 8 in 2017, just 3 years ago. She's done really well. She came second in the lead qualifier for this competition. So
she really does not like speed climbing at all. It's not one of her. She is more of a static climber. She's got really strong fingers, and I've really seen her grow as an athlete in the last year and a half. Georgie, making a quick look at that one. Nice one, Georgie.
Well done, Georgie.
And Danielle just finishing up there. You can see the official there, David from City Rock Cape Town, just unclipping her. There's Kent Jennings. So up next we will have Credo and Alyssa racing for the next round. Credo will be in lane A and Alyssa in lane B. Credo is a water engineer from Uganda. She's been working with an NGO to get water and irrigation to farmers in arid areas. And one of her goals in this competition is to get some experience that she can take home to the Ugandan climbing community and really broaden their horizons and help them become competitive in these competitions in the future.
And for race number 5, we have in lane A, Frida Casemiro, and in lane B, Alyssa Meyer.
Alyssa there just with some tape on her shoulder.
had a chat with her not too long ago. She's been struggling with quite a few injuries, a bit of a finger injury. I see now with the shoulder. Must have been a really hard year. I mean, it's been a hard year for all of us, but like with injuries go, yeah, it sounds like she's had a pretty rough year. Off they go. This is looking very smooth now. Cruising actually, looking good.
Can see Alyssa just climbing a little bit slow, yeah, not pushing as hard as she might against a stronger competitor, rather making sure to not make a mistake and get to the top of the wall.
Sometimes super smart on her behalf to just take it slow and just save, maybe preserve a bit of energy for the race that might make a bigger difference later on. It's so crucial with this combined format with like your placing. It just puts a lot of pressure on yourself. Well, you can put a lot of pressure on yourself to try and perform, and if you don't have like the right position, then that's the rest of the competition is a massive head game. So
okay, and up next we have Caitlin and Danielle, both from KZN, both familiar to James Barnes, with me in the commentary box here. James, how's their training at home going?
Yeah, like they've both been working really hard. I know Caitlin has been working every day since lockdown. She's been posting every day that she's been doing a little bit of everything every day. Danielle Fiss has also been working really hard. I can't imagine how stressful it must have been for the girls because they obviously now doing remote schooling and putting training on top of that, and having our training facility closed for a while. They had to do a lot of home training. I mean, everybody's been in the same boat, but Caitlin's really shown that motivation and discipline to continuously train hard every day. And Danny's done a really good job of also keeping herself psyched and pushing herself as well. So this is going to be a fun one. Both of them don't have a speed wall at home, so it's going to be a good race. Come on, girls. Allez.
Can see the two competitors really pretty much neck and neck at the moment.
This is the race.
This is Danielle on the left, Danielle on the right, Caitlin on the left. Caitlin just managing to pull ahead here, and she looks like she'll take it. Caitlin takes it with Danny having a foot slip.
Danny's going to be pretty happy with that one. Danny's not going to be so chuffed, but that is what it is.
Caitlin will be quite pleased with her performance on that one. And coming up next we have Erin against Tegan, winners of both of them winners of their first race. And I've just been told that Caitlin got a PB on the speed wall there. Well done, Caitlin.
It's fantastic. So cool. Always nice to hear that personal feeling of getting a personal best. It's like really, really cool.
Erin and Tegan just organising their position, and off they go. Erin just pulling ahead a little bit at the start here, really generating a lot of power from her legs. So far no mistakes on her run. Just a little foot slip there, but managed to get it. And we'll have a time for you in a second. There we have the times. Caitlin with Erin with 13 seconds. Tegan with 15.67. That was a good speed run for Tegan. Erin, of course, taking it, and that'll put her in a good position for the rest of this competition. Up next, Catherine and Georgie. Georgie in lane B, Catherine in lane A. Both of them residents of Cape Town, and they often train together at City Rock and Block 11. Two of the climbing facilities we have here in the gorgeous Mother City, Cape Town, known as the Mother City of South Africa. And this is really looking like a tight race here. Catherine managing to pull ahead just a little bit. You can see that practice she's been doing on the speedball really paying off. Georgie, having spent some time in the States, hasn't been training speed, hasn't had access to the facilities, been doing a lot of outside climbing. James, how do you think Catherine will feel after that run?
She's going to be very happy with that one. 14.7, that could be a personal best, I'm not too sure. But she's going to be very happy with that one, definitely. She has been working quite hard with her speed. It's been quite nice. She's been training a lot with the guys. There's a nice crew of strong athletes here in Cape Town that have been working really hard and been lots of comp simulations, and she's been joining in and training with the boys. So good on her. She's like really put her head down, and it's showing. Yeah, definitely. Next up we have Credo and Daniel Visser, race 9.
And for this race, I'm sure Credo will be hoping to get to the top of the wall and log a time. And for Danielle, she'll be hoping to get a win in this race.
Danny's making quick work up this wall. Big move there. Really proud of these girls. Again, like I said, like they don't have a speed wall at home, and both of them. And it's really like Credo, like give them so much respect. Come on, Credo.
For those of you who are familiar with the standard IFSC speed wall, you might notice that some of the measurements are a little out at the top. The venue here at Sidrock, Cape Town, just being not tall enough for an IFSC regulation wall. But as the athletes are racing on the same wall, that is not the end of the world. I was chatting to one of the Ugandan delegates a little earlier, and this is actually their first time being on an auto belay, which is quite an interesting experience if you're not used to it. Coming up next, Alyssa and Caitlin. Alyssa Meyer from Cape Town, Caitlin Berwood from KZN.
This is going to be another big one. Like, another close race here. I'm ready. My palms are sweating. Always get so carried away as being a coach. Caitlin only being 16 years old. It's like really impressive. Alyssa being 17? 18? Yeah, let's see how this goes.
This is a really big competition for these guys. Girls. In South Africa we say guys to refer to the generic human being. This is a really looking really good for Alyssa. She's getting a good little bit of a lead here. Goes into a big move up there. And Caitlin seeming to find her groove and just getting into the zone here. Alyssa managing to just keep her lead. You see Alyssa takes it by a few seconds. Alyssa will be really chuffed with herself with that run. Not quite as fast as her previous run, but good enough to win this race. Alrighty, on to the next. And this is Tegan and Georgie. Two young girls from South Africa, hoping to do their best and make it into the Olympics in Tokyo next year. Both of them still in school, not having significant amounts of time to train, and during the COVID lockdown that we had in South Africa, stuck at home, unable to practice speed. Let's see how they do.
This is definitely going to be a close one. This is, with a foot slip there by Georgie. Tegan's looks like she might take it. Oh, it takes it. Well done. Oh, the stress of the day, hey?
James, I can see the sweat on your brow here as you watch these athletes race.
Being part of a selection committee, we would sit and have chalk bags in front of us because our palms were sweating the whole time. It's just like you invest so much in every single athlete, and is this the big final? Okay, that's what it comes down to. Erin Sturkenberg in lane A and Catherine Honegger in lane B. Both girls equally deserving the shot. This is the big race. Allez, ladies.
Come on.
Oh man, I'm so sweaty. Let's go, girls. Come on, come on. Oh, Catherine had a bit of a slip there at the bottom. Erin making good time. Erin takes it with a huge lead. Shame Catherine had a mega slip up at the bottom, but still proud enough to finish her run.
So, coming out of speed, I have some positions for you. In first place after the speed is Erin Sturkenberg from KwaZulu-Natal. Second place, Catherine Honegger. Third place, Tegan Oates. Georgie Dorwood in fourth. Alyssa Meyer in fifth. Caitlin Bode in sixth. Danielle Fisser in seventh. And Credo Casimiri in eighth. And I've just been told that was a really good run for Erin. James, you want to give us a comment on that?
I think that could be a personal best, 12.52. I could be wrong, but as an official run, I definitely think that that's probably one of her best runs that she's done so far. Amazing. And that speed.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Up next is the bouldering. We'll be back to you in a short while.